Hello, everyone. My name is Ole Kemi. I'm the Program Director for Physiology and Sports Science undergraduate degree here at the University of Glasgow. I'm here to give this talk, Graduate Prospects Explain Undergraduate Program Standing in University Rankings. And it stems from an analysis formed over the last year, a couple of years, where we remarked that one, we do well in university rankings, and then wanted to know a little bit more about what is it that explains our success here. And this is what I'll show you. So the program here in question, the Physiology and Sports Science degree here, say Sports and Exercise degree, undergraduate honors, it sits within the College of Medical, Veterinary and Life Sciences here at Glasgow. It has roughly 30 students in each year on average, although this varies a little bit from year to year. And the program has a very strong physiologic or biologic focus on sports, exercise, and physical activity. And it spans the entire spectrum from elite athletes to clinical populations and the use of physical activity in treatment and rehabilitation and management of illness. Now, many of you will know that undergraduate degree programs are subject to various rankings here in the UK. And the three rankings that assess individual degrees are the Complete University Guide, the Guardian University Guide, and the Times and the Sunday Times, that each year, roughly in the summer and towards September, publish their findings every year. And for this, they use all of them use data from the National Student Survey, the Higher Education Statistics Agency, the Universities and Colleges Admission Service, the Research Excellence Framework and its predecessor, and data from the universities themselves. And in so doing, they then assign a value to certain metrics that I call here, such as entry standards, student satisfaction, research foundation, graduate prospects, staff-student ratio, expenditure in the institution per student, a continuation, which is an assessment of progression within the program, program support to students, and teaching quality. But as you can see, the individual rankings, Complete, Guardian, and Times, they assign slightly different value to those metrics, and they use a different number of those metrics as well. So they are individual, and therefore the results can differ between those rankings. We have noticed for our degree, Physiology and Sports Science, that ever since the beginning of these rankings around 2010, although you'll note that Guardian started up later, we have fared fairly well within the rankings, but especially in the last 5-6 years, we have steadily improved, so much so that in the last couple of years, 2-3 years, we're generally ranked as the top UK program in sports science. And this is against a competition of between 80 and 90 different university undergraduate programs that deliver a sports science degree in the UK. So, but because these are three individual rankings with some differences, we have averaged the results. Each of the rankings at a 1/3 weighting here. And so it's the average result that is more interesting here, because we can't really argue that one ranking is better than another, but the average provides a good oversight of the outcome. And here too, you'll see that in the last few years, we have been ranked fairly high, both in terms of the average rank number and the average score here. The score is a relative value between 0 and 100, where the number one program receives a relative score of hundreds, and the subsequent ones will then. So the aim of this study was then to assess the underlying factors behind the ranking results. That's done to identify what contributes to the success of a program, or at least the perceived success. And the method for this is to extract data from the individual rankings from 2010 and up until present day, average the results, and then use them in a statistical analysis that use correlation, but more importantly, linear regression and multiple univariate stepwise linear regression that predicts the relative importance of each metric for the outcome. And so the dependent variable will always be rank number or rank score, and the independent variables will be those metrics used by the individual rankings. Because this is data in the public domain, everything is completely anonymized by the ranking providers and the underlying sources. The ethics committee here locally confirmed that no ethics approval would be required. So of course, we can correlate and run linear regressions for the individual rankings. That's too much clutter. It's the average results that really matter and provide some insight. So because they have different number of metrics, we focused in on the ones that carried by all the individual providers, entry standards, student satisfaction, research foundation, and graduate prospects. And the first correlation analysis using Spearman rank correlation shows that entry standards up here and graduate prospects down here correlate both really well with the ranking outcome, with low values of 0.8, 0.9 for entry standard and graduate prospects respectively, whereas student satisfaction and research foundation show no statistical correlation. This is reflected in the linear regression as well, where both entry standard and graduate prospects achieve high R-squared values of 0.6 to 0.7 graduate prospect. But the more interesting one is multiple linear regression that takes into account all these metrics. That produces an R-squared value of 0.8, and that means that the model so far explains about 80% of the variation in the ranking results. So when entry standards, student satisfaction, research foundation, graduate prospect varies from year to year, that explains about 80% of the variation in the final ranking results, whether it's the rank number or the rank score. But the most important analysis is the multiple univariate stepwise linear regression. The way this works is that you can stepwise introduce variables or extract or eliminate variables until it finds a model that explains significantly or statistically significantly the ranking outcome. I won't go into too much details here, but I'm happy for people to contact me later if they have questions about it. But I will just say that graduate prospects is the one metric here that significantly affects rank number or rank score. For this, we use adjusted R-squared values, and for graduate prospects, that value is 0.66, 0.65, which means that graduate prospects explain about 65 or 66% of the variation in the ranking results alone. So this is the one metric to be concerned with. The other metrics, we shouldn't disregard them. Entry standard and student satisfaction also receive almost significant p-values, but they are on the wrong side of the p-value threshold of 0.05, which means that they are eliminated in the final analysis. Although I guess an interpretation here is that they still matter, but just not enough to reach statistical significance. Whereas in contrast, research foundation has a very low predictive value here. So this quantitative analysis, statistical modeling, if you like, indicates that graduate prospects explain about 60–70% of the variation in the ranking results. So what is it with graduate prospects? Well, in our program, we have, especially in the last 5–10 years, put a very strong focus within the program on it. That was before the the ranking results started to come in. And we think this might be an underlying factor here for the success. What do we mean by graduate prospects? Well, to us, we try to develop graduate attributes as much as we can, which means that we have a dedicated staff member that coordinates with other centralized university services to develop those. Part of that might be to raise awareness and educate students on other and soft skills that go beyond the curriculum here. And it might be to link current students with alumni. For instance, we get alumni back here every year to give talks and presentations to the current students about what they now, post-degree, think matter for continuing career success. We also have internship programs that we coordinate with outside partners. That might be clubs, agencies, institutes, national institutions, local clubs, etc., that we can send students to gain meaningful experience in real sports science. And part of that is that we have a scholarship fund, a Catford Scholarship, where we can fund a high number of students every year to travel out to gain meaningful experience in elite sports. And this can be either within the UK or abroad. And we have also redesigned and designed new courses that we think meet professional career needs for current, today's students and future students. Thank you.